I was only gonna do a little bit more sound check before we went live, but I guess shoot, that just happens. We just do it live. Just do it live.
It's
It's
what we're
fine.
doing now. It's who we
Yeah.
are. We've always been live.
Impromptu.
Yeah.
Impromptu. Yeah, this is definitely not a prepared show.
No, we've always been live. This is who we are.
Always.
This is our spirit animal.
Yeah, that's the way swagged out Dan works.
Yeah.
Swagged out Dan doesn't need a script.
Yeah.
Swagged out Dan doesn't need a show format to follow. You just throw the camera at Swagged Out Dan and a show pops out an hour later.
It's how it works.
That's how it works.
It's how it works. Speaking of how it works.
Yeah?
So, question for you guys.
Okay.
We have on the horizon Void 3.0
We do.
coming up, right? We got all these changes coming our way. If there is one thing that you could get 3 chances at to perfect, what would it be?
Oh my god, that's a loaded question, like right out the gate, Dan.
Yeah, that's a
That's
fusion
how Swagged
rifle
Out
right
Dan
out
goes.
the gate. That's how
Oh,
Swagged
like-
Out Dan works.
Jeez, yeah, I'm not ready for this, Dan.
So
Yeah, you go first. I have no idea.
I got you, dog. All right, so 3 things that we would perfect
Or like one thing that you would perfect over 3 iterations.
over 3 iterations. And this is this pertaining to subclasses, weapon archetypes?
This your
Specifically-
life, whatever.
My
How-
There's a
life?
lot of
yeah.
that, Dan. I don't
Okay,
think
I-
we want to go down that route.
Yeah,
No,
let's go
I'll tell you,
life.
I'll tell you straight up. I'll go back 10 years.
Okay.
Back to the wonderful summer of 2011. I can remember the day as I was leaving college campus and driving to work on the highway, and I thought to myself, I have $100. I should buy some Bitcoin. Nah. That's where I would start. You want me to make a perfect decision? That's it, baby. Anywhere in my life, I'm going back 10 years. I'm going to that younger TBL, and I'm gonna piece them up a little bit, and then be like, "Stop being lazy. Buy the Bitcoin."
Just remember to keep the
Yeah.
remember to keep the drive. Keep the drive.
Keep that flash drive. I don't
Remember
know.
the code.
Put it in your underwear somewhere. You'll find it. I guarantee you'll find it. And in 10 years, you'll be like, all right. But if we were focused more on the Destiny thing,
Mm-hmm.
that's a much more open-ended question than the question of what would I fix in my life. Well, since we are under the veil of Void 3.0, since that's going to be a big topic of conversation on the show tonight, I'm going to leave this to I'm going to leave this focused on a subclass for right now.
Okay.
And I think that change is actually going to be something that's going to be happening as a part of Void 3.0. It's something that Bungie is going to be doing as they work to reinforce and rebuild the Void subclass. And that was, I wanted to see a Devour build available on every Void subclass, regardless of the main character class. I wanted Night Stalker to have Devour somewhere on there. I wanted Sentinel to have Devour somewhere on there. And with Void 3.0, that's going to be something we're getting. So that's because that was, Lord knows, anybody who's watched my channel for a while knows that Devour Warlock was my class for like the first 2 years of Destiny 2. Those are just Devour Warlock, and I would have loved to see that on other Void subclasses.
Yeah.
That's my answer, Nim. I gave you look, I stalled as long as I could for you, brother. It's on you now.
Dude, I really don't know. There's a lot. So one thing that I could perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. In iteration.
Iteration of core mechanic, or
Or just like,
you know what?
life.
I would probably say end game incentives.
Yes. Yes.
If that's something that I could if I could perfect in terms of activities having proper like worthwhile rewards to grind out for. That would probably be my thing. That I
A
would say.
reason to run Grandmasters.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
So let's build upon that before we get into the show proper here. So let's say that you could create a more perfect iteration of in-game rewards. So the in-game activities are raid, Trials of Osiris, Grandmasters, stuff
Iron
like
Banner.
that.
Yes.
Iron Banner. What about any one of those would you change?
So, for example, Grandmaster, since it's one of the easier ones to just throw as an example
I think
out
that's
there.
a great starting point.
For platinum completion, guaranteed weapon drop.
Yeah.
And
100%.
instead of hey, you pretty much worked really hard through this, and maybe you're gonna get something, maybe you're not. Who
Here's
knows?
a chance. There's always a chance.
Just a chance.
Exactly. And that's something that, for example, for me personally, that's why I've never really even bothered playing a Grandmaster, because it's just not worth the reward.
I don't know, man. I have quite a few golf balls that say otherwise.
I'm not talking about golf balls. I'm talking about the weapons, like
No,
the
I get
adept
that.
weapons.
I get that, but like, I got a lot of mats doing all that stuff last season toward the end, so it was like, it was a little useful. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
think
what it is, though. It's a resource farm.
Mm-hmm. If I could improve something in my real life, in iteration, it would be my beard game. I need to learn how to groom it a little bit better. Just keep it. Because sometimes it gets all scraggly and stuff, and then I start looking homeless.
It gets a little scraggly. Listen, for those who are watching the show, who are visually enjoying the podcast tonight, you might notice my beard's gone, and that's the exact reason why.
Yeah.
Sometimes it gets a little muddy, and it's just like, man, this is getting a little. Man,
yeah, but you got the mustache
it's
going.
still scraggly. Oh, I couldn't get rid of this.
No.
If I was going to shave the beard, I had to go 1970s black cop. I look like Carl Winslow, and I'm 100% okay with it. Family Matters was an amazing TV show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 291 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to this week in Destiny. And what a magical week it's been. We had, of course, the release of Destiny 2 Season 15, Season of the Lost. That went live. Going to be talking a lot about that over the course of the show. We had the Destiny 2 showcase showing off all of the things coming with the Witch Queen and beyond. Really crazy revelations that happened with that. We had a bunch of news even after that. We learned about what's going to be happening with Trials of Osiris. It's not going to be coming back until September 10th. But when it comes back, it's going to have some significant changes that, in my opinion, are all mostly pretty darn good. We're going to make it a much more open and worthwhile in-game PvP mode to dive on into. And there is just so much stuff to cover, and we're going to try to do it all here for you tonight. Joining us, we've got our full hosts are here. Everybody's here today. We've got Danfinity.
Hi.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you guys. Good to be
also
seen.
known as Swagged Out Dan. That's what we call this version of Danfinity. Look at it. Look at that hat. That's what I'm talking about, baby. Go buy his Teespring stuff. I don't even know if he has stuff on Teespring.
I don't know. Stream Elements.
Go make a Teespring for him. Link it to his Stream Elements, and then go buy whatever you find there. We've got Mr. Nim Plays.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, man? You doing all right?
Yeah. We're here chilling. Gonna talk a lot of stuff.
You play some Destiny this week?
I'm playing some Destiny right now.
Dang. At least screen share the gameplay.
I mean, I could if you really wanted. I don't know how that's going to affect the call, but...
Did you see the minor look of panic on Dan's face as I suggested that?
just
like, no,
instantaneously, just like, we got past the days of Craig. We got to get... I can't do this anymore.
Stop it. But right on, it's great to have you here, and of course I am the Black Link. And with that, why don't we just go ahead and dive on into some of the biggest news this week. We had the Destiny 2 showcase happen early in the week, right before the release of Season 15. The Witch Queen, we got to see all kinds of crazy stuff going. We got to see new story stuff. Savathun got the light somehow. Don't know how. A little worried about it. There were Hive acolytes supering us in that trailer.
There's some theories.
Don't like it. Nope, don't like that.
Yeah. And
We've got good.
yeah, we talked about that back on Tuesday. We live covered it.
Yes.
And you can watch our live reaction to it then and there. But that was kind of nuts seeing the Hive get the hero shots against all of us. It was a weird turn, but it was awesome.
It's weird and it's interesting and it's crazy to see where we're going to be going with all of that. And like Dan said, we have a reaction video where we watched it live and kind of gave our live thoughts on it. I would definitely recommend you go check that out on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel if you want to hear all of our thoughts about everything we learned for the Witch Queen. For the purposes of this show, we're probably just going to be diving into some of our favorite bits of information coming out of that. So why don't we just start with that? What was your favorite thing that we learned about in terms of Witch Queen on Tuesday?
I have one.
Okay.
Weapon crafting.
Yeah.
Weapon crafting. Yeah.
That's a big one because I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you introduce a system where you're supposedly, at least allegedly, have that amount of control over what you're creating? And the way they described it, it also kind of throws me back a little bit more towards like the D1 days where they mentioned that the weapons you craft, get better as you use them or something like that.
It was that you unlock more crafting abilities and perks and options as you keep crafting weapons.
Okay, that's what it is. I'm really curious, man, because like if this is they mentioned that you can craft raid weapons from this. So like if if this is the way that I'm hoping that it will be, TBL, something more akin to kind of like, gathering materials from Fatalis or, and then getting those materials for those of you that you don't know, Monster Hunter World, for example, when you go and kill a monster, you can get its like parts or its scales, its armor, whatever, and then you use that to create weapons or armor based off of that. So I'm wondering if we're going to get like specific raid currency that we can use to create these raid weapons and then the crafting system.
I'd imagine that's what it has to be because they talked about you're right, they talked about the notion that we'll be able to craft raid weapons, stuff from the world loot pool, stuff from specific game modes like trials and whatnot. And the only way I could imagine that you could do that is with specific materials that you can only get from those activities. Now, whether that means raid tokens are going to become a thing like they were in year 1 of D2, or if they're going to come up with some other form of currency, I don't know. But I am absolutely excited about that. It's one of the things that I love about other sort of MMO light looters, games like the Division 2. You can craft weapons and armor and stuff in that, and it's fantastic. It's a system that I have wanted in Destiny for years, and I'm really happy we're getting it with Witch Queen.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm super stoked about that.
Yeah,
But you, Dan, what was your favorite thing?
So like I'm looking through everything just to get a refresher. Because there's so much. I think if Savathun's Throne World is anything like the Dreadnought, we're in for quite the trip. And it seems like it's built in such a way that it's probably going to house some secrets. And so like every Hive DLC we've ever gotten has had some secret into it, and I'm really looking forward to that world space. When that gimbal or when that shot came out over the trees, like I think on Tuesday you heard me audibly gasp because it's like like we don't have anything like that in Destiny. And so I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. I can remember getting to the Dreadnought, in the Taken King, that day 1 of the Taken King, going through that Phobos mission, having our first encounter with the Taken all those years ago. Crazy experience. And then getting to the Dreadnought and just being like, wow, this is a gigantic playing space that was chock full of secrets. It was chock full of Easter eggs and secrets and hidden quests and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking forward to that same sort of experience when it comes to Witch Queen and Savathun's Throne World, however that's going to take shape. We got to see a lot of screenshots of it there. and it looks pretty interesting. There's a lot of Hive architecture, but there's a lot of new stuff there too. It doesn't quite look exactly like a one-to-one replica of, say, Oryx's Dreadnought and his Throne World. So I'm definitely down with that.
It's got this eerie, ethereal green, just kind of run through all of it, and I don't know.
It definitely has a lot of that Taken King vibe that that we've seen before with with what you guys are mentioning with like the size and scope of like the Dreadnought, and hopefully this equates to that because it's her throne world, and just kind of judging by the way Destiny has been lately, it could change over time. Yes. Whether if it's either weekly or by the state of wherever you are in the campaign. Because, I mean, from the trailer, you clearly start off in that swampy area, and then it gradually seems to turn into this crazy-looking world where there's like a downed pyramid and whatnot. Yeah. So,
which
I'm excited for that.
The whole thing of like, among the swamps on the page right now that I'm looking at, among the swamps of Savathun's throne world lies a sunken pyramid. Yep. Alongside your fire team, venture inward and confront the ancient danger imprisoned within. That is bonkers.
Sounds like Raid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is Raid interesting. In the pyramid. All about that. All about that.
And like, we've had touches of darkness in the past 2 new raids that we've had. Right?
Yeah.
So like we had we had the Darkness Veil statues at the end of Garden, and we had one right smack dab in the middle of DSC. So like everything's pointing toward it, and we're just moving constantly toward that veiled structure. And excited to see
that makes me wonder, based on something that Savathun mentioned in the like the first story mission of this season. I don't know if I should mention it. I mean, we're like a week into the season.
It's literally the first thing the second cutscene after you beat the first mission. If I'm figuring out what you're about to talk about.
Where she says that Xivu Arath is hunting her on behalf of someone else.
On behalf of something else,
So, I mean, granted, we have to take that with a pinch of salt because this is, the queen of the seat. So
savvy.
So I don't know. I'm stoked. I'm honestly I am stoked for more like pyramid themed content. It's been 7 years, man. I just want to know.
What is the darkness? And
what fuck are you guys? Yeah.
Like, what flavor of Dorito are you? Are you Cool Ranch? Are you
definitely OG? Cool Ranch?
Are you blue like corn? Like, what is this?
At least on Europa, it's Cool Ranch.
Maybe it changes. Maybe it changes based on the planet.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, like the entire notion of going inside of one of those pyramids, because we've been in them before, in very limited ways. Like during the stasis aspect missions, you kind of go in there just to walk up to a statue. The idea of having an entire raid housed in one of those pyramids, given the type of lore that Bungie likes to generally drop in their raids, a la Deepstone Crypt, looks like we might finally be getting ready to learn some real answers to the questions of what the heck are these pyramids? Why do they follow the Traveler? Why do they seem to activate only when the Traveler's awake?
Right.
Is another question that I haven't seen too many people bring up. A lot of stuff to learn there, and I think we're finally about to start getting some answers.
Heck yeah. So speaking of that first story mission of the season, the scenario that we find ourselves with Savathun and spoilers, Marasab. I posted this on Twitter the other day because it like hit me like a box of rocks. And I guess Joe Garoth had spoken about this kind of previously, but that the entire situation with Savathun reminds me of Silence of the Lambs with Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Where they have,
oh my god.
like the scene where they have the giant pin in the middle of the
cage.
gymnasium.
Yeah.
They have this giant
Mhm.
cage in the middle of the gymnasium, and Hannibal Lecter's sitting there. He's helping, right? He's
Mhm.
helping with the
Answering
investigation,
questions.
answering
Yep.
questions, being as helpful as he can be, and then eats a dude's face.
Yep.
And I have a feeling we're on the way to that sometime at the end of the
Yeah.
season.
Oh yeah, someone's face
Well,
is getting ate.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I understand from a marketing perspective that this was absolutely like needed to create and build hype around it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, the reveal of Witch Queen just completely kind of kills the mystery of what's going to happen at the end of this season.
Yeah.
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 Like, I mean,
Oh,
I get it. I understand that they have to market, the thing somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's like, all right, well, clearly she's after something else, and this is all of
It's all a ploy.
a ruse,
It's
a
a ruse.
ploy. Yeah.
We're being
So-
cheated.
Right, exactly.
We've talked about that sort of thing before in the notion of how much should they put into their advertising. And you're right. From an advertising standpoint, they have to generate hype. I mean, there was news stories out today that Destiny 2: The Witch Queen is like the highest pre-ordered thing on Steam right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
by a country mile. It's one of the top sellers. On there. And but could you imagine if we didn't know? We
Yeah.
just go into season 15, we meet Savathun, we go all throughout the season, and then at the very end of the season, she does whatever it is she's going to do. That gets
Right.
her the light and Hive Guardians. Could you imagine the shock that would have happened
Right,
if we didn't know about it?
So I'm quoting Darkside royalty or Joker here because
Joker, yeah.
I watched his video today and he made a really good point about this. It's the equivalent of the Forsaken campaign of them showing Cade getting shot from like the get-go.
Yeah, yeah.
So like that would have had a much bigger impact if that wasn't showcased as the main marketing ploy for
Right.
that. So this is the same thing here. It's like, oh shit, the Hive have the light.
They
They're
have
guardians. I think that seeing that firsthand would have had a lot more impact than what is going on right now.
It does take the punch out.
Yeah.
It does take a little bit of the punch out. I mean, I'm still going to enjoy this season. I don't think it it kills the narrative that we're going here. We know the end of the story, but the way the story is unfolding is still pretty cool. But yeah, it definitely it takes all of the surprise out of it, having seen that before we saw what was coming in season 15.
But
Right.
I mean, just like the Cade thing, though, right? Like Cade, knowing that Cade died somewhere at some point during Forsaken, didn't take my enjoyment out of that story, and the fact that it happened so early in that story kind of led to like an anything can happen type scenario after that, which I think is kind of what Forsaken did really well at the end of the day. And so, especially with the Dreaming City stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was such a surprise.
Yeah. So I think if they're giving this away in from the same playbook that like killing Cade was a major story beat that was spoiled.
Yeah.
If we don't know anything that happens afterward, into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Whereas I think that's a perfect way to kind of encapsulate it there. While we knew what was going on with Cade, nobody had any idea about the Dreaming City. And when we finished that campaign, and then suddenly this amazing world space opened up, and then continued to evolve on a week-by-week basis and change entirely when the raid was opened up. Yeah, nobody saw that coming, and it was a major surprise. So, I can only imagine what they're going to do now.
And that's the thing, though. I don't want to hype myself up that much because Forsaken.
Yeah.
We both know that Forsaken, or we all know that Forsaken was a much bigger release than what we were told to expect out of the future releases as well. So I don't know. Again, like I'm very, very stoked to see what they're gonna do, but I am not.
Yeah, you're hesitant.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, and I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really liked out of the Witch Queen reveal is the cadence of raid and dungeon content that they started
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Every 3 months, you're going to
Every
get
3
either a dungeon or a raid to like take part
Yeah.
in when it comes to in-game PvE. That's huge, at least for like, you know, the side of the community that I'm primarily in. And
Right.
because you find yourself grinding the same stuff over and over again, but as long as you know that like 3 months down the pike, you got another thing going,
Got another thing coming.
yeah, you can kind of like set your schedule and set your like aspirations for that.
I have a
Yeah.
question in the
Okay.
likes of yours, Dan. Out of the reveal, what is the one thing that you guys were more on the fence of?
Yellowhorn coming back.
I have the same. I have the same one, but I do want to hear your reason.
Okay.
Because we don't need it. It's
Okay.
we
Fair.
have
That's fair.
so many awesome weapons that like
Yeah.
have kind of now outshine Yellowhorn, right?
Yes.
Right.
In
Yeah.
in
100%.
Destiny 2. They're like they have like Anarchy is one. Anarchy is a big
Yep.
one for me.
Oh, big time.
That is the Yellowhorn of Destiny 2 in my opinion. Bringing Yellowhorn back, I mean, what are you going to do? Like, are you going to make it super overpowered? Are you going to neuter
Yeah.
it? Is it going to
Yeah.
be is it going to be the Rise of Iron version? Like,
Mhm.
what is it going to be? Because at the end of the day, it is this monolithic weapon that has
It's the most famous weapon of the game.
The most
must
famous
have
weapon in
Yellowhorn.
Destiny.
Must have
Yeah.
Yellowhorn. And I think part of it is that like we don't need it anymore. It also has that connotation to it of like kind of like schmarmy elitism. And I saw it on the thing and I was like, why? Why do we
Yeah.
need it?
Yeah. We don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I understand the position Bungie's in here. I've always been that guy who's been like, yeah, sure, why not bring every exotic from D1 back into D2? It's clear that that D2 was meant to kind of be less of a sequel to D1 and more of like kind of a restart and oops, a mulligan.
Yeah.
So I was always the guy to say, hey, why not bring all the exotics from D1 to D2? And I still believe that's what Bungie's going to do. I think, with the exception of one or two specific exotics, I think they are going to attempt to bring all of the D1 exotics back. And so when I see Yellowhorn here, it's like, okay, that's fine. I'm fine with it. But my concern kind of aligns a little bit with what you were saying there, Dan. We already have weapons in D2 that do outshine Yellowhorn.
Yeah.
From D1. We have weapons in D2 that outshine it. I mean, shoot. Last season, Crown Splitter was outshining everything Yellowhorn ever did in D1. And so when they're bringing this weapon back into the game, they kind of only have one or two options.
Yeah.
It's either to bring it back and make it so overwhelmingly powerful that it lines up with the rose-tinted memories that everybody has of Yellowhorn in year one of D1. Not beyond that. Just year one of D1. Or they bring it back and it's only okay and everybody's just like, oh, well, this isn't the Yellowhorn that I remember. And it's almost a no-win situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they set it up to fail in that way. Just by even mentioning it coming back. And like, because what are they going to do? Are they going to, like, they're going to really say it's going to be super overpowered and then they hit rocket launchers again?
Or not. Yep.
Like,
it's either got to be busted or it's going to be meh.
Right. I think it's going to be more meh.
Meh. Absolutely. I think it's going to be more, oh, this is okay.
It's a nostalgia hit.
It's going to be Eyes of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know how Bungie's going to handle that.
Now. I like Eyes of Tomorrow.
Do you know?
Yeah. I enjoy
you like
that.
It now?
And I was actually using, well, because of all of the fusion rifle changes to this season, or they're pushing a fusion rifle meta in PvE.
100%.
1K voices. I brought that back out to attack Avion today, and I was
nasty.
like, all right, cool.
So this is just the weapon.
Yeah.
just 1K everything.
Well, it's like part of that recipe.
Yeah.
And like 1K even to me feels more exotic than Yellowhorn
Mhm.
does in my mind from the last time I played with
No,
it.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of design and utility and like everything, 1,000 Voices 100% just stands out compared to
Super good.
dear old Galley.
Yeah.
But we got to see also like because there's no way that Wolfpack rounds on its own is probably just going to be back. I'm sure they're going to do something else to Gjallarhorn to
Mhm.
make it stand out.
Yeah, it's got to have more than just Wolfpack rounds. And I know the clip they
Yeah.
showed shooting it showed Wolfpack rounds,
Yeah.
but it's got to have some other kind of ability. It can't just be clusters that track.
Yeah.
Because
Right, exactly.
we're in a
There's
different
no
game.
way.
We're way more powerful here in D2 than we ever were damage-wise in D1. So there's got to be something to make it stand out a little bit.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
Probably going to be a catalyst of
Snickers.
some kind.
Ooh, definitely. Snickers there in the chat said something
absolutely.
pretty interesting. If you're paying for it, they will make it OP because Gjallarhorn is going to be a part of the 30th anniversary, which
Yeah.
I think has like a $24.99 price tag.
Right.
And that was my
Yeah.
like hesitation.
That was going to
with
be my
that.
thing that I didn't like.
Yeah. So it looks like we're all on the same page when it comes to that particular.
Yeah.
I'm excited about the
reasons.
30th anniversary. Yeah, you know, I mean, I like that Bungie's going through all of its history. As an old school Bungie guy, as a guy who played Oni, as a guy who played Myth, as a guy who played Marathon and all those games, I love, and of course Halo. Can't skip out on that. I love that they're bringing little aspects of their entire history into the game, along with Gjallarhorn. And I don't remember if they said they were tying the next returning D1 raid to the 30th anniversary. Did they say that? I know they said that's coming, but I thought they said that the next returning D1 raid was
That's
going
going to be free to all players, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But so I'm happy with all that. But at the same time, I went and I looked at the price tag. It's like, oh, $25.
Yeah.
That might be a little much.
Yeah, because if it does end up being a very powerful exotic,
Pay to win. Pay to win.
there it is.
Is it?
There it is. He
Yeah.
said it. He said the thing.
Again, setting themselves up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, for the no doubt super angry YouTube commenter right now, calm down. I'm happy Gjallarhorn's back. I listen. If you've been watching this show for a long time, you know I've been the guy saying, "Bring them all back. I want my Gjallarhorn. I want my everything." But it's just this is a weird scenario to bring it back in, and like we said, like it's either going to come back and be OP and be paid for, or it's going to come back and be paid for and be meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the seemingly the only two answers, and that's just kind of it's like Dan said, kind of setting it up to fail a little bit there.
It's a limp noodle.
Yeah, getting whipped with a limp noodle.
Yeah. So I like the idea of having a 30th anniversary dungeon.
Oh, absolutely, it's cool.
I dig that, and like I'm excited to explore that and see what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I like that they're bringing back old rewards. I think AS Luna is one of them.
Yeah.
And the LDR.
Yeah.
Is it the LDR? Long distance
Yeah,
relationship?
long distance relationship.
I like that those are coming back. Because like I think Benji stated today it's like 100 days until AS Luna has returned.
Yes.
After like
Finally.
years of tweeting about it not being in the game. And so yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for some things that are coming back. I'm excited to see what the team does with the dungeon. I'm not excited
Absolutely.
for Yellowhorn.
Yeah. I think that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But all right, I think that covers about all the things we're super excited about from the Witch Queen reveal. Let's say we move on into some of the other stuff that happened this week, starting with the Trials of Osiris revamp. The day after Season 15 went live, we got another article from Bungie basically detailing all of the things that they're doing in Trials. Of course, during the showcase, they talked about they want to add matchmaking to Trials. They're going to add a kind of a freelance solo matchmaking option to Trials so that you'll only match up with other people who are running it solo. And I think all that's great. But in this article we got a day later, we learned about way more changes that are coming to this game mode. We learned about changes that are going to be coming to the activity itself, the rule set. They're going to be like lowering the round timer. We learned about changes that are going to be coming to Saint 14 as a vendor. He's getting his own reputation system. And probably the biggest thing that I took away from this, other than the fact that they're making changes to like the trials ticket so that losses don't really matter so much. It only just tracks like your wins and whether or not you've gone flawless. But one of the biggest things that I saw there is that Saint 14 is basically getting his own Umbral Engram-like system, which is going to allow you to target farm the specific loot that you want after you've already earned it at least once. That is cash money. That's the thing that a lot of in-game trials players have been complaining about. They have no real solid way of grinding for their perfect Shayura's Wrath or anything like that. So I'm really happy to see that that's coming to the game alongside new trials, weapons, and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, this system, I really like reading through it and seeing other people's responses to it. It seems like this might be the trials that I play.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Just to even get the weapons. I'm not so much I'm not so much caring about like getting to the lighthouse. It would be nice. But the
On Stadia.
the ability, I have something about that later too, maybe. But just the ability to get the weapons and feel like I'm putting time in and earning it
Yeah.
is huge to me. Because I mean, I think I'm sure a lot of people who didn't play Trials really liked the year one version of Trials of the Nine, where it was just like, I'm in a group with 99 other people and somebody ran Trials and now I have this Darkest Before. And I'm sure many people enjoyed that. And I think I benefited from that as well. But
absolutely.
This feels like the fairest way of adding these items to a loot pool, allowing people to dabble in it, maybe get better, maybe like feed the playlist a little bit.
Yeah, populate it.
yeah. I think that's the big thing is populating it. The gate should always be open for it. And I don't know. There was some gatekeeping stuff going on on Twitter that I was seeing, and
Of course.
of course. But yeah, I think the gate should always be open. People should be able to get into activity if they want. I understand that there's some skill-based matchmaking thrown in there.
Yeah, they mentioned that.
So, which I know for people who are of higher skill, it's going to make it more of a sweat fest. So I don't know how they fix that.
Well, I mean, they said one of the things they were going to be doing was, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go.
But was that they're going to attempt to have the matchmaking match people who are on a similar like card win to you. So like if you're on win 5, it's not going to put you with somebody who's on win 1.
Right.
Going to try to continue that tradition of putting you running solo, matching you with somebody who's on a similar number of wins as you are, so that you don't get to win 6 out of 7 as a solo queue and then get nothing but people who are on their first game because this is their first time ever setting foot in the Crucible. Yeah. So what were you going to say, Nim?
I can't remember exactly where it was that I read it from, but apparently the whole skill-based matchmaking thing is also going to be a system that resets per week.
That's what I saw as well.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be something that carries over based on your overall history with trials. I think it's just based on
that weekend.
Right, exactly.
Which I mean, to me that affects high skill players, Sherpas, and helpers the most, right?
Yeah.
And like
yeah,
Bungie isn't going to design toward the last two, right? Because they have a larger general population to uphold and to build into trials now. Like this feels more like we need to infuse the base of trials. We need to get people getting stuff so that they're talking about it more, so that like there's more hype around that. And I don't know. They might lose some higher skilled players because of it, but we'll just have to see it in practice. I also like that they're not doing trials on weeks where Iron Banner is going through.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
No overlap there.
Yeah,
It's
because
just
that man, you feel it when when both of them are active.
mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like it to decrease the amount of conflicts on your schedule. Of course, it's going to be better
Yeah.
because
Right.
everybody doesn't have the choice to play one or the other.
Right.
Right. So not having either of those game modes basically cannibalize the player pool of the other. I think is a pretty interesting idea. Trials, of course, is going to be on hiatus basically until September 10th, in which case it'll be returning with all of these changes. And I think most of them are good. I think most of their goal here was to basically expand the player pool for Trials, get more people who would never ever once consider going into Trials of Osiris to try that game mode out and start getting some of those rewards. And I think a lot of these changes are going to go a long way in opening that up. But one change that I thought was really funny, that is probably a very good thing for the health of the game mode moving forward, is now Trials of Osiris requires purchase of the annual expansion to play.
They put it behind the paywall.
It is now behind a paywall, meaning no more getting banned, starting up a new Smurf free account, and then in about 8 hours jumping into Trials and cheating all over again.
Right.
Right.
And like that's part of the security update too. That was another thing that I saw. Account recoveries are now getting sniped.
That was a surprise to me. They're going to be taking action against account recovs. I don't know how exactly they're going to be doing that.
Right.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I'm like, I don't know how they're going to enforce that.
How do you enforce that other than, I guess, just going after people who are advertising that as a service?
Yeah. Which I mean, there's several sites that are advertising on YouTube. They're like, I looked into. I was I was searching something on Google about Destiny, and it LFG carries.
I got you, bro.
Like,
Yeah,
no,
that happened to me
messenger?
as well. I was actually I was looking into one of the websites that is being currently targeted by Bungie's legal team,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and shortly thereafter on my YouTube, I'm getting ads for uh, recovery services and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which I thought was pretty funny.
They got you, bro.
Yeah.
Catch this messenger. Not for long, apparently. Not for long. But I don't know how exactly they're going to be enforcing that, but they're making moves. They are trying to cut down on a lot of the things going on right now, and more power
if
to
they
them. We've got Battle Eye
if
in
they
the game.
want crossplay to be a successful and safe environment
Yeah,
for players, then this is a move that they 110% need to enforce and be
Yeah.
proactive on.
definitely. Beyond that, we had other stuff like no more three peeking. Not
Yeah.
going to be a thing. I think they changed it so that special and heavy ammo no longer persist round after round,
Right.
which
Mhm.
needed to happen. It's
Yeah.
kind of questionable why that could happen in the first place, since it allows for some pretty easy snowballing with certain weapons and whatnot. But that's going to be changing. I already talked a bit about the reputation thing. Basically, the same reputation system that Shaxx and the Drifter and Zavala have. Saint 14 is going to be getting, which is good. I think it's a
Great.
good universal system to have.
Yeah. Like I said, it might actually get me to play Trials.
Right?
Yeah. They also noted a couple of different versions or like some Crucible labs that are coming up.
Right. Yeah.
So capture elimination hybrid. One capture point activates 30 seconds after each round starts with an extended capture timer. The Trials freelance, a separate node from the main Trials activity where only solo players can queue. And then the no intro quest, one weekend where players who have never played in the Crucible can play.
That's interesting. That's super interesting. I'm glad they're bringing back the whole labs experience and trying new things out. Because I think changing up game mode in Trials is about as necessary as changing up game modes in Iron Banner.
Yeah.
Which means it's absolutely necessary and needed to happen. So I'm glad to see they're at least experimenting with that a little bit here with Capture and the, of course, Trials freelance playlist. Looking forward to diving into those.
I wasn't even aware of that one, honestly, because I'm gonna be real with you. Like, as someone who doesn't really play Trials, I
Mhm.
just kind of glazed
Glanced
over
at
that
it.
article.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was
There's a lot of
told to
good
take a
stuff
look
coming.
at it again. So
There's a lot of good stuff coming, and that's two of the big ones there.
can we talk about crossplay a minute before we
Let's talk about
jump in
crossplay.
anywhere else? How have your
Yeah.
experiences
Sure.
been?
Pretty good. I'd say pretty good. I've had once or I don't know if they're exactly related. I can't imagine that they're not related, but I've had a few instances of the forever load times
Mm-hmm.
and loading into that new seasonal activity and just like not having the objectives like pop
Mm-hmm.
up or complete, so being stuck in there forever. But for the most part, I've played a raid crossplay thus far. I've done a lot of strikes and all that kind of stuff, some Gambit crossplay, and kept an eye on that. I partied up with a couple of buddies who are on or PlayStation and Xbox, and it's been going pretty good. I like it. I am happy we are in a post crossplay world where the it seems like the player pool for PC has just exploded.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. So nice to have that.
Yeah. What about you, Nim? You been able to dive in?
I've used it here and there, not like super extensively, because a lot of the times I either play with like one person or l- uh, lately just not at all.
Yeah.
But the times that I have used it, it's been pretty seamless. I have noticed a bit more crashes ever since crossplay came out.
Mm-hmm.
I've
My
noticed a few of those.
client, I think Destiny 2 on PC, in the time that I've owned it before this last update, I think it maybe have crashed on me like 3-4 times.
Mm-hmm.
When crossplay hit, it crashed like 4 times in a day.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there was, I'm fairly certain there was some sort of hiccups going
A
on.
lot more chop.
Then it hasn't happened since, but I mean, aside from that, like it's neat. I'm glad that people can play with other people.
Mm-hmm. My experiences so far. So I can't get into the Vault of Glass. I can't.
Oh.
I can't. It just it constantly keeps me out.
Denied.
I'm playing on PS5. Generally, some of the other folks that I play with are on PC, and so like you walk up to the door and there's just like a plate
Oh,
of
the
glass.
invisible wall. Yeah, yeah.
That's right in front of it. It's super goofy. It was not what I had thought would happen, but here we are.
It's the vault of glass, baby. There's
Vault
a
of
glass
glass.
wall in
Yeah.
between you and the raid.
I'm starting to
Yeah,
take
when-
bets in chat when I'm like, can I make it through this time? Will I be able to? No?
That's a really
That's
weird glitch that
wild.
I experienced when I ran the raid last night, where like 3 people in the fire team they couldn't walk through the doors, so they had to go back to orbit and then
Yeah.
rejoin inside.
Yeah.
Super
So
weird.
strange.
There was that. I also had, so I played a bit of Crucible on Thursday. I was like, you know what? Tiku's is going to be an overload bow. I should probably get the catalyst.
Yeah.
And I haven't completed the quest to get the catalyst yet.
Oh no.
So why don't we get those 50 Guardian kills that I need? Hopped in on Thursday, complete trash. I was complete trash. I think I got 6 kills over the span of an hour. I was like, what the fuck is that? That's garbage. Why? Why am I like this? I toggled crossplay off on my PlayStation and just went into just the PlayStation
Player pool.
player pool. Insanely smooth. Like,
Yeah.
like 44 rest of the kills. I don't know what it was.
That's super weird because if you're playing on PS5, that's not supposed to have native matchmaking with PC.
Well, and I don't think it was. I think it was with Xbox and Stadia.
Oh.
And with that comes the wibbly jibbliness of
jank.
netcode.
Yeah.
And so once I changed over to PlayStation, now this could be completely anecdotal. Once I changed over to PlayStation, it actually worked. It actually did something.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Hopefully those are hiccups that Bungie's going to be able to work out before too long.
Another thing I learned, you can only have 200 friends on Bungie.
Correct.
Yeah. Bungie names.
Choose wisely.
Yeah, so I deleted everybody from my clan. No offense, but you guys can find me. And,
Rest in
and what's another thing that popped up? It was like another little hiccupy thing. Oh, I left a game of Gambit, and it crashed my game on PlayStation.
Oh,
Yeah, I willfully left a game of Gambit,
Yeah,
and like
as you should do. You
Yeah.
should leave games of Gambit.
and then it just goes booted back up. It gave me the whole title screen of, "Hey, you left a game of Gambit," and I was like, "No, I understand. I meant to do that. Why'd
you
you
were
kick
booted
me out?"
from a game of
Yeah.
Gambit.
So, other
That's
than that,
super weird.
fairly smooth. I'm very impressed with how smooth it actually has gone.
Yeah, I think this has been a decent implementation of it. I've run into, like I said, a few of those hiccups too, where it's like loading infinitely, or I can't get into a certain activity, or there's a little bit of lag in the tower. Things seem out of sync sometimes, and that's when I can tell, oh, this is like an Xbox lobby. But for the most part, I think it's been pretty good. For most of the raid last night, went really well.
Mhm.
Like, didn't have any sort of problems there. So happy about it. Looking forward to enjoying it more in the future.
Heck yeah.
Well, that being said, why don't we jump into some of this swab stuff, because we've got a whole Void 3.0 thing to talk about that we haven't even scratched the surface of yet. So what do you say we do that?
Heck yeah.
yeah,
Let's go for it.
absolutely.
So within the TWAB this week, we got to hear from, I think it was Kevin Yanez, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sam Dunn. Yeah, Kevin Yanez and Sam Dunn, about what they're going to be doing. Basically, in the future, they are going to be revamping the light subclasses. They're going to be adding aspects and fragments, just like we have with the stasis subclass. Light subclasses are going to be getting a revamp with those as well. And I think the first of them that we're going to be seeing is Void 3.0, which is going to contain quite a few changes to the Void subclass. They're really leaning into some of the status effects and whatnot that have been limited to very, very small aspects of the Void subclass. They're going to be expanding upon that. Basically, things like suppression and devour are going to become universal across Void. Different Void attacks and Void abilities and Void weapons and whatnot are going to be able to cause those effects. And that just sounds amazing to me. The notion of having a subclass that's going to be based on debuffing enemies and like healing yourself and all that kind of stuff. Bungie is really starting to lean into the whole fantasy RPG archetype here, and I could not be happier about it. I think they talked a bit about some of the negative status effects that we're going to have is like suppression, which is sort of like what we have now with certain abilities where you suppress the target's ability to heal or activate abilities or even shoot in some instances. Then you've got weaken, which weaken isn't the one that makes you deal more damage to them. I think it
The target takes increased damage and has their
Oh, that
movement
is.
slowed. Enemy
Oh.
AI combatants fire the weapons with decreased accuracy.
Okay, so weaken is the one where enemies will take more damage, which is, kind of like some of the debuffs we have right now, like with Tractor Cannon, or last season with Breach and Clear, or with, I can't remember the name of the fusion rifle perk. Something deconstruction. I unlocked it today.
Particle deconstruction?
Particle deconstruction.
Yeah.
It's stupid. We're going to talk about it in
It's
a little
breach and
bit.
clear for fusion rifles.
It's Breach and Clear for fusion rifles that just turns so many different fusions into top tier weapons. But Weaken's going to do that, and then Volatile is the one where you blow enemies up. It's like Bloom from back in D1. I love that we're getting these abilities as kind of an overview thing on Void, rather than just
like a
being specific
debuff.
to a single class. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is cool stuff. What do you think, Nem? You're a Void boy.
I'm excited to have choice again.
Yeah.
Although I was a little scared that with Void 3.0 meant the death of Nova Warp, but luckily that's not going to be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there are some really cool aspects and maybe possibilities that are coming along with Void 3.0 that I'm really, really stoked for. The Child of the Old Gods.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Man, does that sound cool as hell. So it's basically it's almost like a void rift buddy. So when you
Yeah.
cast your rift, you summon a sentient black hole, and it basically picks a target, and then it launches itself at them, and then it begins siphoning their energy, and it weakens them, refunding that as either grenade and melee energy.
Nutty.
So yeah, I'm super stoked, and like if the little black hole is the one who gets like the final blow on the enemy, then it will refund you back some of your rift energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm really really stoked to do, and like the projectile melee, the pocket singularity, dude.
Yep. We saw that
Dude.
in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we sure did.
We were questioning, like, whoa, wait a second. We're throwing balls at the enemy now.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm really excited to get my hands on that, because you know what it sounds like. It sounds like the thing that Scions do to boop you
yeah.
up in the air.
Oh wow, yeah.
The kind of yeet thing.
Yeah,
The void wave.
the things that would always get you the thick suck on Callus's
Mhm.
last encounter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm stoked.
There's cool stuff there.
The shield toss on Titans. I think
Yeah.
that's one that's like pretty cool. It puts them on
Right.
par with hammer throwing Titans.
Yeah,
that melee
being
bit.
able to just have that projectile melee there is fantastic. That's a great change.
Yeah.
So they talked about the three basic effects for Void 3.0: suppression, weak, and volatile. We covered those. I think they also gave us three positive effects as well that
Mhm.
Void 3.0 players are going to be able to cast on themselves and others. One
Void?
was Void Overshield.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it up?
Yes, I do.
Oh, well then, what am I talking for?
We have Void Overshield, a protective barrier of void light, which reduces damage taken from combatants.
That's cool.
Invisibility, you vanish from sight and do not appear on the enemy radar.
Yep.
We also have Devour. You feast on the energy of your foes. Kills restore you to full health. Grant grenade energy and extend Devour. So those like suppression,
busted
weaken, volatile, void, overshield, invisibility, and Devour. Those are the 6 power fantasies of
Yes.
Void.
And the fact that basically all of the Void subclasses are going to have some kind of access to this, because again, these used to be separated by class. Like Titans could already do the Void Overshield thing, but they didn't have access to invisibility, and they damn sure didn't have access to the busted ability known as Devour. And of course, Hunters had access to invisibility, and Warlocks could do Devour. Now we're kind of making those class agnostic. With aspects and fragments, you'll be able to cast those positive effects on both yourself and allies, Bungie says here. Devour is already such a powerful ability. For a long time, it was the only reason to run Bottom Tree Void Warlock, because you get your full health back on every single kill. It restores its own grenade energy and extends itself on every kill you get. As long as you're killing things, you're unkillable with Devour up. The fact that every class is going to that now, Sentinel is going to be able to get Devour is just mwah. This is beautiful stuff, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But after that was when I think they started talking a bit about some of the aspects and fragments there. We discussed the Child of the Old Gods and the Pocket Singularity for Warlocks. Titans are going to be getting access to that projectile melee shield that basically you have during your Sentinel super. You're getting access to it outside of your super, which is great. I think they had another one, right? Overwatch?
So you get the Overwatch aspect. Cast a Void Empowered Barricade to grant a Void Overshield to yourself and nearby allies. The Empowered Barricade slowly regenerates the Void Overshield of allies bunkering behind it. They said that we want players to be able to lean into the Sentinel fantasy of being the frontline protector for their team. So Overwatch is a powerful tool for setting up prior to encounter and providing a safe haven to fall back to when things get spicy.
And so that's awesome. It's taking the barricade, the full barricade, not the reload one. That nobody uses the full one because the reload one's better. And basically making so that as long as you're standing behind it, you're going to get that Void Overshield buff that we talked about a few minutes ago. Which I could see that being a legit strat for certain things now. You throw down that shield, maybe you have a rift or something behind it, and then you just kind of walk in front, walk back, and rebuff yourself with that void overshield. It's pretty cool. I dig that.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna be might actually see that shield used more in PvP now.
Well, I can only see, like, think of how that would work with Saitans.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that's something.
Damage reduction, baby.
Yeah.
We're all about it.
Hunters. It looks like the super itself for Shadow Shot, Mobius Quiver, is just getting an
Yes.
overall redo. Which
it needed.
yeah. If we're getting things like that with Super 3.0 or Void 3.0, I'm really excited about it. You get to fire 2 volleys of 3 void arrows in a cone, which seeks out enemies and spawn void anchors on impact.
Yeah.
Shadow Shot makes tethered enemies volatile and deals increased damage to tethered targets. One of the main usability pain points of the current iteration of the Mobius Quiver is having to press the super input a whole bunch of times to fire each arrow individually, which is cumbersome and takes a lot of time and often results in a player drifting somewhere they don't intend to be off the side of a cliff, as a totally hypothetical example.
Yep.
By firing multiple arrows at once, it should be a lot easier to blanket an area with traps in preparation for a fight or put burst damage on a boss.
I think that's an interesting change. I wish Aura were here to talk about it, since he was our resident Night Stalker in chief. But I like the changes there, basically making it automatic for firing your shots rather than having to, manually or fire and target and all that kind of stuff. I think is interesting. What's more interesting, I think, is volatile. The fact that the enemies who get tagged with the void anchors are now going to be volatile, meaning when they die, they explode.
Yeah.
And tag other things with volatile, making Tether's probably going to be back to being the top tier ad clear super, like it was back in the days of old. I think that's a pretty fantastic change.
Yeah, I hope so. They also get the aspect Stylish Executioner. Defeating a weakened, suppressed, or volatile target grants invisibility and true sight. After performing a stylish execution, your next melee attack, while invisible, weakens enemies. A twist on Middle Tree Night Stalker's current flawless execution perk, this aspect lets the hunter specialize in defeating debuffed enemies to keep looping their invisibility.
That I think is interesting. Basically making it so you can have unlimited invisibility and debuffing while you continually execute enemies. I think that's cool. It's leaning into the power fantasy behind the Night Stalker being basically a ninja.
Yeah.
A stealthy assassin. I like that.
Something about this screams Outriders to me, but like, because like Outriders, you could build certain synergies and just constantly be like, always be up, always be using your abilities. And like, maybe it's the kind of player that I am, but I don't feel that a lot in Destiny.
I can agree with that.
And this feels like they're kind of injecting a little bit of that in more.
Which is, something that I wanted to see more of from Destiny 2. As we lean more and more into the MMO sort of bracket, I want to be able to specialize my build, to specialize the kind of character that I want to play as. If I want to rely on a specific ability, I want to be able to build around that ability. And that's what they're doing here. Doing a lot of cool stuff with this. I dig it. Also, I played Outriders the other day.
Yeah? How'd you like it?
Still a pretty good game.
Yeah? The changes go pretty well?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot more rewarding to actually do stuff now, so that's nice. And the devs, they have basically said that they're going to be doing some big content for the game in the near future, which is neat. I thought they were pretty much done with it and moving on, but no, apparently there's new content coming soon.
Yeah, I think there was a story a couple weeks back that Square made a lot of money off of it, but that People Can Fly hasn't made a dime yet on it.
Right.
And so
there was something about that.
Yeah. It's kind of bonkers.
A little scummy, Square.
Yeah. We'll
but I mean, good.
I haven't touched it since we did that one expedition.
You mean immediately after the game came out?
Yeah.
That's
that was
okay.
the last time that I played it.
It's okay. Nobody else has played it either. It's fine. But Outriders is fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun game. I enjoy
It is a fun shooter. And maybe I need to try out the new changes, but after that, and I'm using this term very loosely, after that campaign was over,
campaign.
I just
Oh,
found
you
a
mean the
hard
20
time.
hours that I spent in that game?
God. Don't even, I can't. All right. All right. Like, I just had a hard time trying to find my way back into the game, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to give it another shot at some point.
It's fun for a turn your brain off and grind kind of game. You know, if you're somebody who likes to make specific builds and whatnot, sort of like what I do in the Division. Like
Yeah.
Dan said, it's a game where you can make specific builds and keep like certain abilities up 100% of the time and see some really crazy combinations with it. And I like that. I like that about Outriders.
Yeah.
But anyway, Void 3.0. That's
yeah.
pretty much it.
Pretty sick. Also, I'm sorry, before we move on, because I know that there was a lot of speculation that Witch Queen was going to introduce a new darkness subclass.
Yes.
And there was actually a stream done by Twitch Gaming this past week where they interviewed Joe Blackburn,
Yeah.
I think his title is creative director of Destiny. And they touched upon that, whether, what was going on, if we were going to see another elemental subclass. And he did confirm that there is something in development in terms of a new damage type. However, it's something that we're not going to see till down the line because they're going to try and focus up the light subclasses before and bring it up to on par of stasis before they introduce the next one.
Right. And I'm okay with that.
It is in the works.
And they mentioned that in the TWAP. They say that there's going to be no new darkness subclass with the Witch Queen throughout year 5. And they just explained what Nim just said, that basically they wanted to get the light subclasses up to par with stasis and the new system with aspects and fragments and all that kind of stuff. And then they'll push out a new subclass after that. And I'm fine with that.
Probably till Lightfall.
Oh yeah, probably. I'd say it's going to be a Lightfall release or post Lightfall.
Because then after that is the final shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which we learned about on Tuesday.
Such a cool name.
Shape.
Such a cool name for it.
There's lore here, baby.
Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think of like something that pleasantly surprised me out of all this, out of the launch this week, out of the whole thing. I'm really glad that they're sticking to doing like the 3.0 with the light subclasses.
Me too.
It's sorely needed.
Yeah, it's really needed from a customization viewpoint. It also kind of shows the success of stasis as a whole. Stasis, like I didn't think, like when it came out, I was like, I'll never use this. Why would I use this? But now I find myself using it in a ton of PvE activities.
Right.
And like, especially when I'm playing on Warlock, like Turret Boy, like that's just kind of like a no-brainer thing.
Yep.
But the entire, I think it speaks to the success of stasis. I'm hoping that they're not terribly like overpowered when they get that light bump.
Yeah.
But like, we'll have to see.
I think you're absolutely right. It does speak to the success of stasis, that it's becoming the new standard bearer for how they want their classes to be focused moving forward. And I could not be happier with that. It's the aspect and fragment system has given us a level of customization, class customization, that is more akin to what we had in D1, which is something they mentioned on the stream on Tuesday. They said they want to bring back some of that further customization that classes had in D1 into the game and then take it a step beyond. And I'm really happy to hear that.
Me too. Options are always great.
But all right. Beyond that, so that's Witch Queen. That's the Trials changes. That's Void 3.0. That's the 30th anniversary. Why don't you say, what do you say before we get into audience questions? We talk a little bit about Season 15 and some of the stuff we like from it.
Sure.
This can be quick. I mostly just wanted to talk about fusion rifles
Yeah.
because, like I said, I unlocked particle deconstruction today, and I've been doing a lot of testing with it. And oh boy, fusions were already pretty good this season, and particle deconstruction just makes them unreal. Guns
Chef's
like
kiss.
Merciless,
Chef's kiss.
just mwah. Guns like Merciless have become top tier DPS again. 1K Voices is an absolute, it's a universal monster now for whatever you need. Templar damage, 1K Voices.
Yeah.
Atheon, 1K Voices. To the point where you can pretty much use it. And with the Xeno nerf, I think it's far more reliable
Yeah.
than Xenophage is right now. But it's also taken some other fusion rifles and really elevated them. Vex Mythoclast saw a fantastic buff this season.
Oh my god!
It is
Yes,
so much
It's
better.
gonna get
it's
smacked.
so good.
You think it's gonna get smacked too?
It's got to get smacked. There's no
I
way
think
it doesn't.
so. It's so much better now. It's got such good range. It hits so hard. It is super duper stable. Like one of the big problems with it, well, there were a lot of problems with Vex before Tuesday, but one of the big problems was that it kicked like a mule no matter where you were, and like just couldn't hit a thing. It's super stable now, does so much damage, and now it has this mod that gives itself a 40% damage buff that you can then mix with stuff like high energy fire and elemental well stuff like the elemental the font. I can't remember the name of it. It's that font perk. To give yourself like a 195% damage boost. It's so silly. It's so silly, so good, and I love it.
We were doing damage to Atheon today, and GoPo was using null composure,
Yeah.
and like complete like
Out damaging everybody. Huh?
like insane numbers when it came to damage with that mod and with just how null composure is built. I think we got him down to less than a quarter in one damage phase. It was
Ooh.
pretty nutty. I was not anticipating that, but there we were when we were staring at it.
Yeah, it's a lot stronger than I was expecting, and I'm happy about that. It's clear Bungie wanted fusion rifles to be used this season, so they've given them a major buff across the board. I was doing a bit of testing with stuff like Merciless and 1K, and the way Particle works. Basically, as you land fusion shots, you basically get a stacking buff. I think it gets up to ×5 before it hits max damage. Guns like 1K just give you the ×5 immediately.
Yeah.
You get that ×5 debuff on enemies. They'll start turning purple, showing you that they're suppressed and debuffed, and then the damage just shoots through the roof. And when you mix it with something like Vex Mythoclast, which serves as an auto rifle, fusion rifle, linear fusion, you kind of get the best of both worlds, where you have this weapon that's dealing massive amounts of damage that then becomes a long-range heavy weapon when you get it overcharged and turn it into a linear fusion. It's so good. So good. Having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. How are we feeling about the stasis weapons?
Love it.
Like it. Yeah. What is it? The auto rifle or the hand cannon? Vulpecula.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's called.
Picula. That is.
That's let me pull up my roll of that. Good.
That hand cannon has not left my hand since it dropped, and
Yeah.
I
What's the roll they
did.
have?
Let me tell you about the roll I have, Dan. So I actually just did, like, during stream, I almost lost my shit. I had to bite my tongue not to. I did one of the tier 3 focusings on the Umbral. So I got Ensemble, and this is in one perk column, Ensemble and Outlaw.
Okay.
And on the second perk column, Headstone and Explosive Payload
Oh
with a
my
range
goodness.
masterwork.
Oh my goodness.
It is. Oh my god.
That's the new Daddy 180, baby.
It's so much fun. I've been absolutely loving the Headstone perk.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
I've yet to have one drop with it. What is that perk?
So Headstone is basically Stasis Firefly, but
Yeah.
when you get a precision kill with it, it spawns a Stasis Crystal where you killed the target.
Okay.
Now, when you take the recent change to Verity's Brow that requires you to get a weapon kill with a matching elemental subclass damage type. That's what procs death throws now. So
Yeah.
with that, just having the hand cannon alone, you're constantly getting death throws active,
Yep.
which gives you increased grenade damage and regen. Now, this is where the fun part comes in. The crystals are affected by your stasis fragments. So, if you have the fragments that increase the crystal burst, you are going to be doing extra AoE. If you have the fragment that gives you improved regeneration, with each stasis crystal burst, you are furthering improving your ability recharge rate. So that type of synergy between perk and like aspects and fragments, because ice the aspects also work as well, like the ice flare bolts and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Bro, so much fun.
Infinite grenades, infinite grenade damage boost, infinite freezing is what that gun can allow with that sort of mixture. I talked to you about it earlier in the week when I was inspecting him. I said, "Very nice hand cannon, sir." I had the same roll.
Literally the same one.
Yeah, I'm rocking a Vulpecula right now, going Killing Wind and Headstone, and it's so good to be able to spawn those crystals everywhere. Whenever I'm running a Stasis Warlock, that doesn't come out of my primary slot. It's just so good. I have infinite grenades forever, and being
It's so
powered up by
much fun.
Verity's Brow. It's nonsense how good it is. Can I tell you what my favorite weapon thus far of the season is?
Sure.
Because as good as Vulpecula is, it wound up being my second favorite weapon.
Oh,
My favorite weapon this season is the new scout rifle, Servant Leader.
Man, I haven't had that drop yet.
Really?
No.
See, I think it drops from Gambit, right?
Yeah.
that is actively what I've been playing for the past however long we've been on here, trying to get one.
So that's why you sound so defeated. Cool.
Yes.
Well, then it's probably
Yes.
going to get worse when I tell you I have a rapid hit multi-kill clip one that I have been using.
Ah,
And this
that sounds
thing,
amazing.
Servant Leader is such an interesting scout rifle. It's essentially Randy's throwing knife.
Yeah.
It's Randy's little brother who has access to more toys than Randy did.
Oh,
The
of course.
perk pool on this scout rifle is regosh darn ridiculous.
Mm.
It can get so many different fantastic rolls, and I've been using it. For those who don't know, Randy's throwing knife. You didn't get that ritual weapon when it was available a year or so ago. It's if you remember the old Vice scout rifles, the full auto fast firing ones.
Yes.
This is a kinetic version of those. It fires so quickly, it hits decently hard. Some of the builds you get with it, like rapid hit, mean it reloads like that. And with multi-kill clip, it does really decent damage over really great range. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely my favorite primary right now.
Heck yeah.
How about you, Dan? Do you have any favorites thus far?
So I've been trying, like I've just been kind of like farting around. I guess is the good term here. Is just like trying to get my power up. Not focusing so much on rolls because I'm going to have 6 months to focus on rolls.
Yeah.
So I'm just focusing on getting power and light up right now for week 7 when the Grandmasters come back around.
Mm-hmm.
Or like helping people do stuff, which was kind of gnarly today. We helped a lot of people through crossplay, and it was kind of nuts in stream. So like that was really cool. I'm less so focused on the weapons themselves, like a specific weapon, than the ability to farm prophecy weapons, which is a huge thing for like people like me who help people through prophecy dungeon. I've done that dungeon I don't even know how many times. It's a lot. And having the ability for the prophecy weapons to drop on consecutive runs afterward, amazing.
It's amazing.
I'm looking for a good Darkest Before, because that was my baby all the way back in year 1. And that's primarily when we're helping, like that's what I'm looking for. I'm also looking for a good long walk sniper rifle. I like the aggressive frame snipers, and just looking for a good one of those.
I'm so happy the Trials of the Nine weapons are back.
Same.
And they're back in a fantastic farmable form with the Prophecy Dungeon. I ran that earlier this week. Got a couple of the sniper rifles. Got one of the auto rifles, and I'm looking to head back in there again to try to farm out some decent rolls of some of this stuff.
Heck yeah.
Could not be happier.
Yeah.
Could not be happier.
That was a huge one. I need to go through and do the lost sectors to add those.
Yeah.
Um,
Right?
those returning exotics to my loot pool.
Oh, I haven't gotten any of those yet, but I think it's hilarious that 2 exotics have already been basically disabled. Worm Gods and Radiant Dance Machines, because something's got to break every single time.
With Radiant
Something's
Dance
gotta
Machines,
break.
it was like you could yee all around everybody.
Yep. They came with the perk Michael Jackson Pro, where you just styled on everybody. Got your super in 20 seconds. And then Worm Gods. Did you guys see what was going on with Worm Gods?
Wasn't it doing increased damage? Like multiplying it a bit there? Or
Because throwing hammers can bounce now. They hit multiple times on single targets. When you have a target that sits still, like say, Atheon.
Yeah.
That hammer's hitting, bouncing, hitting. And with Worm Gods, you supercharge that damage to the point where you can one-shot him with a throwing hammer. It does 9 million damage. He just disappears. It's like, oh. You can one-shot Riven. You can one-shot Atheon. You could one-shot basically anything in the game. And even without Worm Gods, it's still technically possible. You can still do ridiculous amounts of damage with the way that it buffs up by proccing stuff like I don't remember if it's Swashbuckler or one of those perks where shotgunning something gives you increased melee damage. You just do that, throw a hammer. As long as that enemy is sitting still, just.
I'm gonna clip that sound for later.
Oh, please do.
Right.
Please do. It's thank you, Chad. Thank you, Austin. It's 1-2 punch. You just put that on a shotgun, go shotgun something real quick, throw a hammer, and laugh as it just gets erased from the game.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Worm Gods were making that much worse. So Bungie,
Worm Gods.
it's funny because Radiant Dance Machines just had its ability removed in PvP, right?
Yeah.
But PvE, which is cool, they're modding these things separately now. But it works the same in PvE. Worm Gods just got turned off. There was no friendliness for Worm Gods. It's
somebody in chat called it the Telesto of armor.
Yep.
Like it's just constantly, it's always the problem child when there is a problem.
That is, I found that amazing.
Yeah. Outside of that,
all right.
Yeah, we have a few questions.
Let's do it then.
Yeah, let's get after it. So, MJ T Blade asks, with the teaser of Void 3.0 in mind, what would you like to see with either Solar or Arc 3.0?
Ooh,
that's a great question.
That's a good one. So clearly with the 3.0s here, with Void, they took pre-existing things, pre-existing avenues that were available on certain subclasses, and they're making them class agnostic. You know, invisibility on hunters, Void overshield from Titans, and Devour from Warlocks is being mixed up and then given to everybody. So I'd imagine they're gonna do the same thing when it comes to Solar and Arc. They're gonna take aspects of those from each of the 3 main classes and just make them class agnostic. So when it comes to Solar, I guess that would mean they're going to rely heavily on burn effects. You know, we've got a couple of classes that do burn effects to enemies. Probably sunspots from Titan. I think that's going to be a big one. Where like Solar ability kills are probably going to be able to leave sunspots everywhere based on some kind of aspect or fragment.
Some
For
sort
Arc,
of combustion.
Definitely. We got that changed this season where you can set enemies on fire, and if they die, they explode. Set other enemies on fire, and if they die, they explode. That's something I would say is probably going to be coming. As for Arc, Maybe something like what Arcstrider has with buffing your melee charges.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what they do with Arc.
Well, so they broke down Void very astutely into
Hmm.
like 6 main tenets, right?
Yes.
Of what the power fantasy was of that versus what they wanted each class to do. And so, like, I would think, yeah, Arc, Barry in chat calls it. It's like Arc is chain damage, like being able
Oh
to chain
yeah.
between
Yeah.
different characters.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like in my mind's eye, I see an arc staff hunter just slam the ground, and like they just added the ability for warlocks. I think it's with landfall that like it now surges like 5
Yeah.
different streaks out from
5 streaks
the
of
point of
electricity.
origin. I
Right.
can see that with hunters. I could see
Yeah.
them doing that with hunters. Just in my mind's eye, I see it. I see it hitting, pounding the ground. Maybe not like laying the staff flat, but maybe hitting it with the end, and it just
Yeah.
like you shall not pass.
I get that. I dig that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like things along those lines. Chaining effects. Yes. Stun. Like stun locking
Ooh,
would be cool.
that'd be nice.
Probably not fair in Crucible. But just something. The power fantasy's there. They're iterating on it, and so I think when you're looking at those new 3.0 classes, start thinking about like what is enticing about fire? What is enticing about electricity?
Right.
What tenets do we have of them in Crucible now? Or in the game now, not
That.
just Crucible. Nim, what about you?
Honestly, I have no idea, man.
Yeah.
I already play very little of the game, and when I do, it's pretty much tied to like 1 or 2 subclasses, either stasis or void.
Yeah.
So like I honestly I wasn't even aware of like the exact changes that were done to Dawn and all of those other subclasses, because I don't play them, so I never really followed up with them.
Right.
Good stuff.
Guardian Outpost asks. He has 2 questions. First of all, first one is, I know it's early in the season, but what are your top 5 DPS weapons? 1K
Ooh.
voices.
1K voices. I mean, we should probably just give a unified list here. 1K voices is definitely up there at the top. So my suggestion, my addition to that would be either Merciless or Null Composure.
Yeah.
Both of those are really good. Merciless if you've got an exotic slot for some reason. Null Composure if you want a legendary fusion that's going to perform just about as well, especially with some of the mods we've got this season.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Anarchy.
Yeah, it's still good.
It's still good. You just have to use it like an exotic, or like an exotic heavy, and not like an exotic primary, and you're fine.
Yeah. You can't use it the entire raid long.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anarchy is still definitely top tier. The nerf to it didn't hurt it nearly as much as I think a lot of us were concerned with, myself included.
Right.
It's still very, very good. Deathbringer is still top tier for DPS. That hasn't seen any sort of change since last season. And so if you've got the catalyst for it, the catalyst shoots the DPS of that through the roof, because you don't have to aim quite so high above an enemy's head to get maximum damage with it. So more of your little void balls actually land on the boss, and it does unreal damage.
How does Sleeper compare in this new fusion rifle meta?
It's good. Error did a video, I think, today, comparing damage of a lot of things when mixed with particle deconstruction, and Sleeper's up there.
Okay.
It's up there. It's pretty darn good.
And Austin in chat brings up the Lucky Pants.
Oh my goodness.
So hunters,
The last word.
yeah, the last word just became an end game raid weapon. Because you can do insane amounts of damage with Lucky Pants and the last word. Other hand cannons, like so, Thorn I think is another one that people have been using, as well as
Or
Malfeasance.
Ariana's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever you
Lucky
got,
Pants. Woo.
smack them in the face with it while wearing the Lucky Pants, and you're golden.
You know what? Can we have 4 on the list right now? Can we just include last word as the number 5 because
Sure.
it's such a weird thing. I was telling a buddy of mine who just got back to Destiny this week. I quizzed him like, bro, guess what? One of the best top tier DPS options is right now, and he's like naming off things like Deathbringer or 1K voices, and I'm like, no,
Usual
no,
suspects.
yeah, the usual suspects. I'm like, nah, primary. It's like primary. Sweet business. Thorn. Like, nah, no, 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 no,
Outbreak
no, no.
Perfected.
Yeah, the good stuff. And like, nah, bruh. The last word blew his mind. The last word with Lucky Pants right now. If you can land those precision hits, it's just like it's so stupidly powerful, and I love it. I hope they don't change it. I hope they leave it alone because it's so weird to think of the last word as an effective PvE DPS option, but it kills. It's great.
I've heard Crimson's pretty great with it too.
Yeah, because the Lucky Pants buff is based on hits. I do believe it's based on number of shots landed, right?
Yeah.
So
If you land all your shots.
Yeah, and Crimson hits a bunch of times per shot. So it builds those buffs really quickly. But the last word, just especially with if you're rocking some reload boosters, it's just you build up that damage so quickly. It's great. I love it. Such a weird thing to think about. The last word is the top tier PvE DPS option.
Insanity.
Good.
The second part of his question: which raid will they bring back, and why is it Wrath of the Machine? They just added a Wrath of the Machine mechanic back in.
Which one?
So when you pick up the orbs in what's the name of that activity now? Shit.
Astral alignment?
Yeah, in astral alignment. When you pick up the orbs in the second phase,
oh yeah,
it slows you down and you become encumbered, and then you become
Yeah.
exhausted and have to drop the orb in order for somebody else to pick it up. So they've already ported over that mechanic. It is a thing that exists in the game. It would not surprise me if at some point, maybe not the next raid that we get,
yeah.
but if at some point they brought back Wrath of the Machine, because that's a really cool mechanic.
It's a cool mechanic. You know, I had completely forgotten about that, but that's exactly what I thought when I was running Astral Alignment earlier in the week. It's like, oh, this is the mechanic from Wrath. They brought this whole thing back where you have to kind of guard the person who's carrying the thing and then pick up the load for them once they can't carry it anymore. When they mentioned that they were bringing another D1 raid back, but they weren't going to tell us what it was, I thought immediately, okay, it's King's Fall. We've got Witch Queen coming up. We're in a Hive theme season. It's going to be King's Fall, but mostly because they'll never bring back Wrath of the Machine because Bungie likes to pretend Siva doesn't exist. So, but you're right. Bringing that mechanic back kind of blows my theory out of the water. It absolutely could be Wrath of the Machine, and I would love that. I love Wrath of the Machine.
Well, I mean,
love it so much.
They could bring back King's Fall. They added the mechanic in where somebody gets the imminent detain.
Yep.
In Vault of Glass, they added that in, which is
From Golgoroth.
Golgoroth. Yeah. So like, they're pulling from their greatest hits, and it's not so much that it's maybe not so much that all these things will come back. It's just that they're pulling from the best bits of their encounter designs, or puzzle designs at least, and like, I hope we see Wrath of the Machine come back. It was hands down, I think it's my favorite raid just because of how kinetic and fast
so good.
it moves. Yeah. And like the hero moments that you could have in it. I'd be interested to see how they would change it for Destiny 2. It probably wouldn't have, you probably wouldn't be able to clutch it the way that you were able to in Destiny 1 if something were to go sideways.
Right. I hope so, man. I loved Wrath of the Machine so very much. I'd be happy with either King's Fall or Wrath coming back, or Crota's End. You know, not to forget that one. But man, Wrath was just such a fun experience.
Nim, you have anything to say on that?
Y'all forgot about my boy Crota.
I remember the homie. I remember the guy who gave me Gallarhorn.
Actual heresy here.
Listen, we all know it's coming
we
back.
get that we meme on his raid, but y'all forgot about my boy Crota.
Listen, we know it's coming back as a dungeon.
Oh my god.
Man's had my necrochasm and y'all forgot about him.
The Christmas gun.
I kind of want to hear Nim do a version of Forgot About Dre, but Forgot About Crota now. It'll never happen, but boy can.
I kind of want
I don't
that
even
now,
know what you're
too.
talking about.
It's okay. Gray Fox asks the final question of the evening from the King of Questions himself.
Long may he reign.
Long may he reign. Rang?
Rang. Long may he rang.
Long may he reign. With season 15 out and Mara back in the picture, plus the reveal of Osiris, are we having the deck stacked against our Guardian from all fronts? Also, Moth Savathun versus a Bright Light equals Clap Hive God.
Yeah, just take her to the sun.
Yeah.
She won't be able to resist it. Just turn on a light somewhere and drag it to the sun.
Oh. And then
I can't
pretty
help
excellent.
it. It's so beautiful. Name that movie, chat. 5
Can
points
name
for
it.
whomever can name that movie.
I can name it right now.
I know you can. I mean, they of course they're stacking the decks against us right now. We've got a major expansion getting ready to come out that we're getting ready to build up to. So the Marky, you're almost right. You got to actually name the movie. You can't You can't just say what it's about.
Folks who are listening to this at home on a recording or a podcast, you're missing out. You could be guessing what that movie was. All right.
You could have been the first person to get it right. You could have gotten 5 points to Gryffindor or whatever house
that
you're
person
in.
who's yelling at their car stereo right now.
You, right now. You know who you are. You know who you are. You're sitting there screaming like, God, I watched this yesterday. You got to be here live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. But yeah, narratively speaking, of course they're stacking the decks. We've got a lot going on with the whole rescue of Osiris. We know Savathun's about to rise in a pretty major way. And it reminds me a lot of how things felt as the Taken King was getting started. We had defeated Crota. We got that little hint that something might be coming after we beat Crota. We beat the House of Wolves, which really felt like an epic storyline, with this crazy Kel who's messing with Vex technology. And if there's something any lorehead of Destiny will tell you, it's you don't mess with Vex technology. But he goes and he pulls like his entire house from all different points in history through time to join him. That felt epic. When we completed that, I felt accomplished as a Guardian. And then we get slapped in the face with the biggest threat Guardians had ever had. Oryx, the Taken King, brings his entire army in. I can remember the build up to that story, watching the first cutscene with Mara and the Techians trying to halt his fleet and disable the Dreadnought. It's actually kind of crazy where we are in the story. It all goes back to that point. The very first cutscene we watched this season shows that moment when Mara and her Techians had to sacrifice their fleet to not to defeat Oryx, to just stop him from driving towards us. And so, yeah, I think the narrative, the story is going to be building up. Things are going to get pretty dramatic before we get to the end of it.
There's always a ramp up before, like, you have to have a ramp up before you have a conclusion. And, like...
Yeah, absolutely.
This is feeling like that. And, like... For me, there are a few things here that are in the background. Mylan has an excellent video on this.
Yes.
In that new realm that we can access from the realm helm. there is a taken Ahamkara egg.
There is. Yeah.
Behind the gate, you can glitch into it. You can get in behind the gate. You can even get in behind the gate and fire your weapon using Wish Ender on the egg, and nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
So, it is interesting that is a thing that is just it's the Chekhov's gun. If there's a taken egg anywhere in the vicinity of Marasov, it's going to get used. It's just a matter of when.
Wait for it.
Yeah. So there's going to be some big stuff going on, especially with Savathun kind of lull. I think Savathun's going to try to lull us into a place of complacency.
Oh, of course.
Around the events that are going on right now, and especially kind of like waving over here and saying like, like Zivu Arath is like, real man, they're the bad guy.
Real
like,
bad. Don't worry about me.
I'm stuck in this chrysalis and I can't
what could
nothing.
I possibly do? I was trying to help you guys.
Like,
I love that cutscene because it's so, she's like Eric Cartman, so manipulative. She's like, I mean, I brought you the crow. I helped you broker peace with Keitel. I tried to save you from the pyramids. You guys called it interference, by the way.
Yeah.
you cheeky son of a bitch. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's good stuff there, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Deborah Wilson.
Yeah.
From Mad TV fame. Really into what she's doing with Savathun.
Great voice, Joes. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, is that it for the questions?
That
or does
is-
Nim have something to say?
No.
Nimothy?
How you feel about your girl Savathun?
She looks great. The voice, fantastic. I do have I don't know, maybe it's me thing. I'm a little like the voice direction seems to have taken more of a turn towards human sounding.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is on purpose.
And it's a little weird because you see her, but you don't expect her to sound the way that she does, considering we had Oryx. And, he definitely had more of a boom, kind of like a growl tone.
Sounded monstrous.
Yeah, monstrous is the word. Thank you. And as opposed to Savathun is a lot more, I guess it's more to play into the whole. She's trying to make you trust her.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm dig it.
You bought the bathwater yet, Nim?
It's on back order.
It's on back order. Yeah, she's got to fulfill my orders first. Then it'll be available.
Jesus. I fucking hate you guys.
I'm surprised that wasn't a pre-order.
Get your own little jar of Savathun's bathwater. I mean, come on, Bungie. The very first scene you show is her in her own personal hot tub. Come on.
Oh man.
Yeah, I dig it. And her having that almost seductive human sounding voice when every other hive we've encountered now has been monstrous. It reminds me a lot of Riven, That's kind of how Riven was talking to us at the start of the raid, using voices that we were familiar with. And then you get to the end, and Riven is this dragon monster trying to eat you. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see where the story goes, especially with the notion of her character. I've got some pretty big theories on where all this is going to go. I am happy to say one of my theories did wind up being right, although I think it's one we all kind of had. In that, I knew she was going to be trying to get us to get rid of her worm. We seem to be worm extraction specialists now. I mean, we technically freed Oryx of his. We definitely freed Nokris of his.
Yeah.
In a strike, by the way. So it doesn't surprise me at all that she's looking to us as being her way out from a bargain she's been trying to figure out how to get out of for millions of years in the lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna be interesting.
I'm
Very
hoping
interesting.
at the end of this, so we take down Savathun, and then we just get the okay from the Vanguard to just start taking out all of the worm gods one by one.
Yeah, I mean we might as well. We've
Yeah.
already gotten some of the bigger
Soul
ones.
was real easy.
Dead. Akka, dead. I think another one was named what? Ire? Ire might be. Is Ire Savathun's? I don't remember. I don't remember what the name of her worm is, but yeah, might as well just murk them all.
Yeah.
Ire, Ool, and Yule, I think.
Yeah.
Left.
No, bring it on, Zivu or Wrath. Clap your cheeks too. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'm really excited to see where the story is going to be going this season. Really exciting to see how we get from here with by the way, Cocoon Savathun. I think there's some symbolism there with what's
Cocoon-a-thun?
about to happen. I'm interested in seeing how we get from Cocoon Savathun to a Savathun who has full control of the light in Witch Queen. Gonna be a wild ride. I'm buckled in.
Heck yeah.
But all right, is that it for the questions?
Those are all the questions fit to print.
Well, all right. I do believe that brings us to the end of episode 291 of the Planet Destiny podcast. This has been a full one, but it's been a full week in the world of Destiny 2. I cannot wait to see what's going to be coming next. We've got another week of story missions and whatnot, more Techians to rescue and more lore to uncover. And we will be getting all of that back to you next week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. It's been a really fun episode. Of course, before we get on out of here, we are going to let you know where you can find all of us across the internet, starting with the one, the only Mr. Nim Plays. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Pretty much, honestly, just if you want to, I'm not even posting a lot over there lately, anyways. But twitter.com/nemplays.
Right on. So you're all moved in, right?
Yes. Now it's just a matter of unpacking.
Oh, that's the worst hell.
Yeah.
You think it's all over when you've moved everything in, and then you look around and it's just boxes in every room. Like, oh no,
Mountains and mountains of boxes.
This is worse. And then every day, that's what hell is. You wake up, you've just moved into a house, and then you wake up, and every day there's a new box. There's one more box than you unpacked yesterday.
So, you were describing Amazon.
Yeah, I said hell. Right on, brother. Looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. Better get back to streaming.
Yeah,
better. Dan, what about you, man?
Oh, hi. My name is Danfinity. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram and the TikTok and YouTube. Just look for Danfinity, usually where the I's are L's. You can find me on Twitch 3 days a week, twitch.tv/Danfinity, where I'm doing all sorts of crazy crossplay things with you folks in the chat. We had kind of like a tremendous, weird day, first day of crossplay helps for like raids and everything, and for dungeons and all sorts of stuff. And I'm greatly appreciative of that. We keep that up. We'll probably get partnered eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of nuts. This week on Beardo, we had Patrick Sterling, who's a DaVinci Resolve guru. Next week, we have Mosh Pat, Stake Shamer himself. And then the week after that, we have Planet Destiny alum, Briar Rabbit.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's pretty good. I feel like I'm ahead of myself when it comes to making content and feeling great about it.
Right on. Make sure you guys go and check that out. Help this man get to that partnership. Tuned in for a little bit today. It was a lot of fun and really happy to see you getting some of the recognition you deserve, brother.
It's bonkers. It's real weird and bonkers. Thank you.
Right on, man. And of course, my name is The Black Link. You can find me pretty much everywhere on the internet. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, all at The Black Link. These days, most of the time you're hearing from me is on the Planet Destiny YouTube channel, because that's generally the only place I put stuff up. Of course, news videos and all that kind of stuff will be going up at youtube.com/Planet Destiny. Who knows? Might have a live stream this week, might not. Still kind of working out the whole work scenario thing with new schedule and all that kind of
Oh, your
stuff.
schedule changed. That's right.
Yeah, so still trying to figure all that out. And if we do stream, it's probably going to be a lot of Destiny 2. I'm like I said earlier in the stream, I've unlocked particle deconstruction, which you unlock at season rank 33, and I did that like yesterday, so I'm about season rank 40. I've put in a lot of grinding time this season, and I'm enjoying it.
God.
And I'm looking.
Insane.
This is the first time I've done this much grinding in such a short period of time in Destiny. Maybe since Beyond Light dropped.
It feels real good, doesn't it?
Wild.
It feels good. I've actually enjoyed it. I'm not sick of playing Destiny yet.
I'm at season rank 18.
Yeah. I did the bounty goblin thing.
Me too.
And I had about 20 levels out the gate.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that was...
I can't do that anymore.
I understand completely, but still... I don't know. You got 6 months to get stuff done. You're going to have 6 months to get stuff done.
Yeah, honestly, like... when it comes to Destiny now, I'm not in a rush for anything.
Yeah. And that's good because we've got a long time before Witch Queen, so don't run out of stuff to do early. I didn't hoard bounties over the turn of the season. I didn't bother doing that, but I have been doing nonstop bounties for the past couple of days. Basically just sitting in the Cosmodrome, running strikes and pulling bounties from 3 or 4 different sources. And it works pretty well. It's gotten me up into almost 40 in a couple days, so I dig that.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's what I'll be doing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 291 of the Planet Destiny podcast, your guide to This Week in Destiny. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will catch you again, same time, same place, next Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.